What's up, everybody? Hi, I'm Ethan with Fight Me on This.
I'm Jill at CoachJill.info.
And welcome back to the podcast, Shifting the Lens podcast. As you can see, we have another guest.
If you can't see, then this is just like a fun surprise for you.
That giggle was a new person. Now you can hear.
Hi, friends.
We have May from Vellum, which has been like a big, highly requested topic. Mm-hmm. You guys have a lot of questions about the world of mushrooms, and as much as Ethan and I dabble in the world of mushrooms, who's better than somebody?
Ethan plays, dabble, lives, plays. It's a good time. It's going to be a great conversation. I don't dabble. Dabbling's for white people that don't have experience. Me and May over here, different.
And May extra has all of the
May trumps me. I'm just a psychonaut. I like to go that way with people.
So
she likes to build the whole spaceship. And then we go.
We met May, a year ago?
I met May years ago.
Years.
Jill caught up.
A year ago when we were in Vancouver, and then we've been doing some work.
Has it already been a year?
Yeah, it was like April of, I don't know.
Wow, yeah, that was a long, holy crap, we gotta go back. Anyway.
Yeah, and the rest is history. You guys have seen Vellum on Ethan's page, my page, all of the things. We're going to start how we always do with hards and joys. You want to go first, or are you making May go first?
May's going first.
Okay.
May, what is something that's been hard for you? Hard for your company, hard for you in the last week, month, year? Something that's been a big challenge. What's kept you grinding away?
Well, first, let me say thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here. And I feel like we really share something important in common, which is education and sharing our knowledge and our love for these tools with others.
Absolutely.
So it's a pleasure to finally be here and make this come together. So thank you. It's an honor.
So excited.
Hard things. Well, sometimes it feels really hard to leave summer behind and move towards winter season. There's definitely, I myself feel some kind of seasonal effectiveness change, definitely. I love all four seasons, but I definitely feel like something's leaving at the end of summer. I'm like, my beautiful friend, my friend that allows me to wear dresses every day, summer have a special place in my heart. Yeah, I like being warm. So that's challenging, but also sort of part of life cycles.
Yeah, I think it's a hard shift for a lot of people, and we try to hold on to it as much as we can. And even this morning, we went for a walk, and it was 8 degrees out, and both of us were like, "Oh, it is in fact the end of summer." But you get those odd 25-degree days, and you're like, "No, it's still here. It's okay."
That's it. No, I employ denial as a soothing tool during this time of year. I'm like, it's fine. I'm outside.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel like my seasonal effective has shifted a lot since I lost weight, since my big weight loss. I get fucking cold now. And I used to love the cold. Catch me outside at minus 30 playing hockey on the ODR all the time. But I can't stand being cold now. And I put on a little bit more size, but it doesn't change 100 pounds of weight loss. It is
it's also
crazy how cold I get. So I don't actually like this time of year as much as I used to because I know that it's about to get fucking freezing, and I just don't keep my heat the same way.
Last year, we spent a lot of time getting Ethan the proper layers because I had to accept the fact that I was going to be outside in the winter. How old's my dog? 6 years ago, because my dog loves the cold. She is a breed that is built to just live. She used to sit on my parents' deck when it was minus 40 and just lay in the snow. So I spent a lot of time, and that also comes with money, properly clothing myself for the winter.
Yeah, this is the first time I've had real winter clothes in I am 35, 20 years.
Yeah.
More than that. Oh God, more than that. Because I was always big. So it was 2 sweaters, 2 hoodies, a toque and gloves. Fucking catch me outside. How about that?
Last year I was hoodies only actually get you so far. We need to get you some insulation and wind breaking and all of the things. So.
Yeah. My hard this week is leaving Kelowna. For those of you that know me know that my heart's in BC. I've talked to May about this so many times when we get to hang out. I love Vancouver. I love Kelowna, the Okanagan. My soul belongs in BC. And though I have a hard time leaving the mountains when I go, I really have a hard time leaving BC. It fucks my system up I feel like I am in a manic depressive episode. Like I
Mm.
cry, I get super like affected, and it's such a crazy dichotomy to be going home and know that I'm not going home. I know that that's not where I belong. This place that I'm sitting here talking to you from is not where I belong. And so that's always hard. It's hard to miss the people that I met already. I've made some great connections, some great friends, some great people, and though I have so many here, like it's you know me. I'm that growth. I'm that keep moving forward. I'm that keep finding more, building more communities person. So it's just yeah, it's been fucking heavy to be here instead of there the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I think we both have that feeling of like anyone will be like, "Where are you from?" We're like Edmonton, unfortunately. So it it will come. We will make the move. I think yeah, I'll echo the same. It's like I had to drag Ethan out of Kelowna, and like I, not joking, I was like, "It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We need to go." He would have stayed there and chatted and hung out all day, but I was like,
Mm.
"We do in fact have to go home." So if I'm the opposite. When we leave places, I'm like, if we're going, let's go. Like, let's get up, let's
Mm-hmm.
leave. Where he'll like linger a little bit longer. So we didn't actually get out till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which makes for a long drive home, and then extra long when you don't actually want to be going home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
May, what is a joy for you lately?
Well, I am working on a plan to
Exciting.
take me and my dog to Mexico for 2 months this winter.
Oh
Cool.
shit.
Yep. And the wheels for that plan are in motion. And so there's kind of like this shining star, you know, in the new
Nice.
year.
Are
Yep.
you gonna
And
drive? Are you getting on an
I'm
airplane?
going to try
What's
and
the?
fly. I'm going to try and get her chunky self into a bag and shove her under a seat on the plane. I think it's really going to come down to like who's checking us in at the airport. If they're feeling
Mm.
generous, it'll be okay. If not, then I might be in trouble. But it's more
What's
just
the pivot
like
for you if they say no?
I'll probably drive across the border and take a
Mm.
flight. Yeah, which comes
Oh,
with
okay.
this
So like get
comes
into
with
the
its own set
states
of
and then go.
yeah.
Okay.
Once you're within the states, they have more airlines that are a lot more lax about the size and weight of your chubby dog.
Mm.
In Canada, they're extremely strict. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's something that
Interesting.
has been bringing me like a lot of light. I'm going to
Cool.
be hosting a retreat while I'm down there, and my best friend
Oh,
lives there too. So
that's
yeah.
fucking cool. That's really cool.
This has been. I tried to do this before Ethan and I came back into each other's life. Like I literally was like, do I just drive me and my dog down to Mexico? Because like my
Mm-hmm.
dog's 110 pounds, so there's no version of
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I have a really hard time with putting her like under an airplane. I've just heard too many
I
horror stories of
understand.
like
I
dogs
understand.
getting left on tarp. Like I would be blowing up the airplane if somebody was like, "Oh
Especially
yeah,
if
we
she's like an
accidentally left
Arctic
your
pup and has thick fur
yeah."
and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Like,
It's
oh, so
harder
we
for
left
them.
your dog
Mm-hmm.
on the tarmac somewhere, like murder.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
there was a few years ago, I was like, maybe I'll just drive to Mexico. And then
Mm-hmm.
my family made a very fair point of like, yeah, you as a white girl are not going to drive by yourself into Mexico. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's fair. So I'm glad you're able
Yeah.
to put your dog on an airplane.
Yeah.
A little bit
Two of
easier.
my friends did drive from Vancouver in a car down to the place I'm going to Mexico because they had a cat and they didn't
Okay.
want to. Mm-hmm. And they were
Like I know
fine.
people have done it, so I'm
Yeah.
like, there's people that are
But
fine. Like
I
it
would
has
say
to be.
nobody should do that alone.
Yeah.
Not
That
even
was my
just you. Nobody.
my parents' point was like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not like a solo
Yeah, I
activity.
agree.
So
But if,
that's
it's
exciting.
February, March and you guys are feeling like a road trip, just know I'm there,
Yo,
okay? With a fruity drink in
absolutely
each
noted.
hand, okay? And a like chair for you on the beach.
Sick.
Well, we now have to plan some shit because I'm gonna stop not taking people up on these versions of offers. We were
But
invited to Australia, by the way.
even if you come, you can fly direct, like from Calgary, right to there too. Even if you only came for a
Mm-hmm.
few days, a little
Yeah,
break.
a couple
I like to
Listen,
of
man,
plant
you don't
seeds.
gotta
I like to
sweeten. You
plant
don't gotta.
seeds.
You don't gotta sweeten the deal anymore. We want the kind.
a couple of years ago,
I'm,
I like, very last minute got on a flight to Mexico. My grandparents spent a few months in Mexico every year. My mom texted me like 2 days before she was leaving because my dad was supposed to go with her, but he had to
mm-hmm.
go back to work. she was like, "You want to come to Mexico?" And I literally was like, "Take my $500," and just like disappeared. All of my friends were like, "Oh, you're just leaving?" I was like, "Yep,
Yeah.
taking my laptop, goodbye." So
Yeah,
we
especially for
was like,
self-employed people. I feel like if
Yeah.
you're self-employed and you work from home, it's like every day's a work day, every hour is a work hour. It's very hard to get an actual break without leaving your environment. But I know you both have a lot of responsibilities too, so I understand. It's a balance.
No, like that's you know us. That's the bonus of being able to pack our shit up. Like
yeah.
you, we can do this from everywhere.
What's your joy, love?
My joy was throwing down the walk of my career at Fashion Week. Like I immediately every time I say the walk of my career, I get emotional. um, I love what I do. I really do. I love being a model. I love the road I took to get there. I love the road I've been on. I do this because I love it. So when I get around other models that have been at this, when I get around other people, photographers, designers that have been at this, and they have nothing to say to me except for where the fuck did you come from? How are you this way? How are you so good at this? How do you do this thing? And then want to learn from me. I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude that loves what he does. I love being around people. I love sharing my knowledge with people. And my joy like is getting to not only do that with people, to educate them in a way that they get to feel this. I watch people tear up, dudes tear up shaking my hand, thanking me for walking with them, showing them how to walk. Like, what more do you need? Like, genuinely, to put something out there and to have people want to put out something that they feel this proud about because of you. Fucking catch me doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it was neat to watch it all unfold and the amount of people that came up after to thank you for even the littlest things was
It
neat.
always catches me off guard because like I do it so naturally. People come up and like, oh yeah, I did talk to you. I didn't. That was like 3.5 days ago. Sick.
And I also think like the modeling world can be very toxic and shitty sometimes, but it felt like I'm sure there's pieces of it this weekend, but it felt like everybody or most of the people
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
around had the right intentions. I'm sure there was people there
Oh,
that
there's
were
a
like,
couple.
I'm not helping and I'm better than all of you, but like
But they
for
also ostracize themselves that way.
yeah, for the most part it felt like it was like a really solid group of humans that just wanted to like make it successful for everyone.
Yeah, that was my joy.
Yeah, Fashion Week was fun to observe. I said to everyone, it's always cool to like, I get to play both sides. I can go backstage to check on Ethan and then also sit in the audience and watch the fashion show. So it's always fun to like be on both sides. I also think it's fun because people often don't know who I am. So my like people started to put the pieces together towards the end of the 4 days, but I know the first 2 days people were like, "Who the fuck is this?" Just showing up backstage, and they're like, "You're a model." I was like, "Nope, I'm just here to exist." But more selfishly, I guess it was neat to exist alone. I existed alone for like 3 days straight, which was not necessarily the plan. I thought Ethan would have more breaks during the day. I thought he would be like gone in the morning, hang out in the afternoon. No, he was gone for like 12, 13, 14 hours a day for 3 days straight. Um, and just, it was neat to not notice my social anxiety. Like, I was like, cool, I'll just like go do this activity by myself. And I'll go to a coffee shop and do my work. And I'll like go sit down for dinner by myself. And just had many moments of like, oh my God, 2 years ago I would have been like, I'm going to hide in the Airbnb and I'll just like show up at the fashion show. But I got like 20,000 steps in just like wandering Kelowna by myself. So
Yeah.
that was a neat moment to be like, oh my God, exposure therapy does work. Crazy.
Victories for both of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. We had a few questions come in and like quite a few good questions actually. But why don't you start with where Vellum came from and why it exists today?
For sure. So about 8 years ago, a friend of mine who is a mycologist was doing some experiments making his father had sort of previously experimented with making microdoses. He's from a family of mycologists, so they've been doing that for 30 40 years. And so his father had been doing some experiments, and then he and his brother began experimenting with psychedelic mushroom cultures. So previously they were just growing edible mushrooms, like restaurant mushrooms and things like that. And my my, the mycologist is my business partner, and he also has ADHD. So he was really
I
interested
remember.
in kind of applying those tools to see if they could be effective for that. After he'd been doing that for a little while, he asked me if I would like to come on board. I've always been interested in mental health, and my background, I'm from a family of herbalists. So my grandma was always growing herbs and harvesting wild harvesting plants and things like that. So that's sort of my area. Later on, I went to get an educational background in mental health. And from that, we created products that are designed to kind of assist neurologically, physiologically, as well as tools and kind of guidelines and calendars to support people's use of these products, you know, a kind of strategy so that they can actually help affect longer term behavioral or mental health changes.
Wicked.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about Vellum from like an outside perspective is like you guys literally have like calendars and dosing schedules and all the things where I feel like lots of people know about microdosing but they don't know how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the time they're just kind of left at that, like here's the product but figure out what to do with it
You
yourself,
got
and
it.
that's hard for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One of my main interests is mechanisms of change. How do people change? Change is really, really difficult, even when people really, really want to. And so I think, you know, when people have more tools and more guidelines, it makes it easier to kind of keep going when things are slow or they feel like they're not working or you're feeling stuck. And just understanding that that's part of healing. It's very nonlinear.
Yeah. Absolutely.
One of, I would say, probably the most asked questions I get is,
Mm-hmm.
uh, do you actually get high from them, or are they a small enough dosage that you don't notice? And then with that, like, is there a difference between the classic like magic mushrooms of like getting
Mm-hmm.
high versus a microdose?
That's a good question. People are thinking, can I eat this at work? Will I be
Yeah.
hallucinating? Yeah. So basically, the idea is that these are sub perceptual. So there's something happening, but it's below the level where you're going to be actually having visual experiences or any kind of mind altercation, like alteration where you wouldn't be able to function. So let's say a psychedelic dose of mushrooms is, say, 1.5, 2 grams to 5 grams, let's say, if you're feeling adventurous.
If you're
um,
Ethan.
yeah, exactly. Depending on your tolerance level.
Depending
But
on your trauma.
yeah. So a microdose would be just a tiny, 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 tiny fraction of the lowest possible dose. So many people prefer to, you know, double or triple them up. So they're eating 200 milligrams or 300 milligrams to kind of get more of a sensed effect. But at 50 milligrams and 100 milligrams, people are still completely functional. They're driving their cars, they're working at their jobs, they're taking care of their children, etc.
Yeah,
So
and I
no.
did this to myself the other day. Whoops. I was filming content for you actually, and I like didn't realize that there was, I think it was the enhanced strain. I didn't realize there was a 50 and 100 of them, and I was like filming content, doing my thing, and then I typically actually take them when I'm filming content. If anybody's ever curious, like I'll time it with like I'm going to film this video on this day so that I'm not like fake taking them in the video. But I didn't realize there was a difference in the packaging, so I thought I took uh, two or three, I can't remember,
Two.
Mm-hmm.
250s, but I took 200s
Hundos.
Mm-hmm.
instead, and I was fine. But I was like sitting at my laptop, and all of a sudden I just like had tunnel vision, and I was just like typing away, and then I like
Yeah.
looked up from my laptop, and I was like, I think I've made a mistake, and I like walked down the stairs and was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, so even in
No, she
those,
walks down the stairs and goes, something is different. And I don't know what's going on. I took a mic. Can they all of a sudden? And I was like, which bag did you touch?
and then I
She's like,
looked
well, I
at the
got this
Mm-hmm.
one. I was like, does that say 50 or 100 on it? She's like, well, there's different. I'm like, there you go, have a day.
Yeah.
Like,
For a
this is
lot
why
of
we
people,
read.
Definitely. For a lot of people, 200 is like they would go to the beach or go to a concert. You know,
Yeah.
they'd go for a heavy workout. That's an intense dose for many people. For some people, it's
I
not.
just I just
Yeah.
had to like take a second from work and like do a different activity. But like
Hmm.
even to people's question, like it's not like I was like seeing shit. I was just
No.
like, whoa, I
Hmm.
actually like typically when I microdose for work, it's just easier for me to focus. But in that moment I was like, something's different here. What have I done?
Yeah, like I'd say I'm much more on the side of it that May was talking about, the two or three, the double, because
Hmm.
I want to know my system. When I first started microdosing, I would take the one, it was good. And the thing that I say to people the most is like, you're not going to get high, but you're going to notice clarity. You're going to notice at least that's how I explain it to people, is like a vibrance around you. Like whether it's in what you're doing or the clearness of the shit you're reading or the fact that you're like seeing good color. It's not that you see shit, it's that what you're already, the system you're running is actually running. It's actually giving you its top tier effort to do the thing. But I
Hmm.
am on the side of like 200, sometimes 300 for my day in my morning, and then I'm gone, especially on my busy days. On my busy days, it's a lot easier when I have like 17 videos to edit or when I have to write a whole piece of content out. Those days are hard to focus because tism. But in I go, away I go, blow through it, great quality, then I'm on to the next thing. So between the two of us, Jill's much more on the, I actually don't want to notice it because it's going to distract me from the thing. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I want to notice it so that I can hone in. I'll do nothing until I go, there it is. All right, let's go to work. And then I try to get the work and use it efficiently.
Yeah, it's very different than medication in that, you know, most people would receive, let's say, 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams. Whereas microdosing, it needs to be very personalized. So there's
Mm-hmm.
room to kind of get it the way that you like it, you know, and the level of
Yeah.
effect that you prefer, and you know how long you want
What
that to be
is
happening.
what is your standard dosing for yourself, May, when you go?
I prefer to primarily recreationally dose. So I
Okay.
normally, because I need to be very present with clients, I wouldn't dose for that type of work. But for
Mm-hmm.
chores or fun things or exercise or activity, I usually eat 200 milligrams of heal. But that's because I've been eating them
Love
for
it.
8 years. So I think my tolerance has become higher. Yeah.
Is Heal your favorite product that you have?
It is, yes, because I tend to be high stress. So I like something that calms my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, my business partner, who's neurodivergent, he prefers Glow or Enhance. And our most popular best-selling product by far for the entire 8 years is Enhance
Journey.
100 milligram.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
by far.
I like the Enhance doubled with the Journey. That has been like the cocktail that I like.
That's a great cocktail because one is pure mushrooms and one is a blend. So you're getting benefits
Yeah.
of both.
Oh, I will say that one you put out that you sent us, the curated, that
Yeah,
shit might actually be my favorite one you put like that.
it's
I was
very
like, I don't give a
stimulating,
fuck if
isn't
she
it?
sends us anything else. She can send us this curated blend every time, and I'm gonna be productive. Yeah,
Yeah,
that one was like that was a single. That one was the only one that I actually like single dose, and I was like, oh
that's a
May,
collaboration,
oh
actually.
May, or sorry, collab.
Yeah,
There we go, curated. That one,
yeah,
yeah,
no
that
problem.
was
But
really I like that one.
I'm so glad you liked it. That's actually a collaboration with another woman on Instagram who hosts retreats and has done hundreds of
Cool.
one-to-one journeys. And so she
I love that.
likes the cacao for afterwards for integration.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
that one.
energizing. I find very
Yeah,
stimulating.
I really like that one. That one was the first, like it was. I would say it's the first time that I took a mushroom that way, and I was like, oh, this is the guy. This is the productivity 101. But and like it was immediate. It was 15 minutes later, and I was already 3 edits in, and I was like, oh,
It
the
does
focus
make
on
it
this thing
quick.
is
It makes the uptake
spectacular.
quicker. I agree. You're
Yeah,
very perceptive to pick that up.
yeah. I really like that product. That one can stay forever. I hope it does. That was wicked.
I'll send you some more.
I get presents.
People also are like fascinated by the tincture. Tincture. I always
Tincture.
feel like I
And
don't
it's a
say
fun
that
word to
word
say. Tincture.
right because they're like I've never. A lot of people have told me they've never seen a mushroom company do it, and I think that one, like even for me, is a lot more chill. Like I think for people to like introduce into it, they'll really like that.
I gotta say to that point because you make a valid one. I think that there's also a a perception of taking pills because
Definitely.
people, like, especially in our world, May, from antidepressants and the mental health side aspect, like, people in recovery aren't going to want to put a pill in their mouth. Like, that's something I found in talking. But a tincture is just it's a drop in a coffee. It's an eye drop under the tongue. So many vitamins we take are tinctures. So it's like it's a cool bridge in between the two delivery systems. I really do appreciate that one.
Yeah. A lot of people are not comfortable swallowing pills for lots of different reasons. And the tincture is interesting. It's kind of two opposites. It's more mild and it works more quickly because of how it uptakes into your bloodstream. So I find the majority of people that like it are people who need kind of fast acting anxiety relief, or they need to be productive very quickly, like let's say at work. So it's very easy to add to things. It's not very suspicious, it doesn't really draw attention, and it works quite quickly. So, and also it's more mild. You'd have to take quite a bit of it to really feel a sense of
Just 5 hour
intoxication.
energy shots the tincture.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's really functional for at work and for people who are more prone to anxiety or people who want to travel with it. Of course, I would never advocate for that, but it's easier.
Hypothetically. A couple more, I guess, specific questions. One is, can you still take your anti-anxiety meds with them?
Excellent question. Yeah.
mhm.
So anti-anxiety medication and antidepressant medication are actually quite different most of the time. Now they're making ones that they're sort of prescribing for both. But
Mhm.
anti-anxiety medication, no problem at all. It's usually a nervous system depressant. Should have no problems. There's no contraindications for any of them, so you're not in danger at all. Okay. But the thing about using microdosing for anxiety versus, let's say, depressive symptoms or habit behavior change is, I would say, anxiety takes the longest to see a difference with. So you need to give yourself quite a much longer timeline if you're using microdosing with anxiety symptoms. Initially, sometimes it can spike anxiety, like in the first
I was
5 or
just gonna
10
say,
minutes of the experience. But in a long term way, I would say 6 to 8 months, which is quite a long timeline if you think about
mhm.
something. But what clients say is that when they look back after 6 months or 8 months or a year, and they compare how they felt and how they would have reacted then to how they react now with, regular microdosing a couple times a week or a few times a month, they say that there's a big difference. When you're talking about antidepressant, oh, sorry, did you have a question or anything about that?
No, I was just gonna say, I think the like that initial anxious feeling, like that's me with any
Yeah.
foreign
Yeah,
substance in air
exactly.
quotes, and I think it for my brain, like I'm already overthinking everything as is. So the second
Yeah.
there's like an unknown feeling in my system,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
brain automatically, as much as I'm working to undo that, assumes it's bad. Where Ethan
Totally.
frequently has to remind me that like it's part of the uptake, it's part of the process, it's part of the
Yeah.
like settling in. But anxious brains are really good at being like, this is a new feeling and it
It's
must mean
negative.
I'm dying,
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
being able to flip over to the other side of it.
You got it. So it's sort of a form of exposure therapy, and that's why it's important to do it, in a safe place where you can relax, where there is somebody to reassure you, that kind of stuff, where you have support.
hmm
Now, antidepressant medication is totally different. It can often block the receptors that also that psilocybin also works on. So what that can mean is that if you have been on antidepressant medication for quite a long time, it can blunt the effect of psilocybin. So a microdose might be 100 milligrams for somebody who has never had antidepressants. For somebody who's been on antidepressants, they might take 300 milligrams and they would just barely feel that as a microdose. So it's not that it doesn't work or that it can't work. It's just many clients report very, very minimal effect, or even doing like a gram of mushrooms and still only getting like a
hmm
microdosing effect.
We had that experience with our roommate one of the first times
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't tell us that he was on an
Yeah.
antidepressant.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
people forget, like, whether it's just like
yeah.
something they've been taking forever or they
Mm-hmm.
don't know that it matters. But it's like a
Mm-hmm.
question we ask a lot of people if they're dosing with us in any way of like, Are you taking an antidepressant? Are you taking any medications? That's something I ask in work too, because those do inhibit the ability. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
like somebody like Ethan that knows a lot about dosing and the journey and all those kinds of things, if he doesn't have all the info, then everybody's sitting there being like, why is this not working the way it should be, when
Yeah,
there's like a big thing that's impacting that?
you got it. It's so important to manage expectations so that people,
Mm-hmm.
get the experience that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any guidelines on using it while trying to conceive, or any info on it on its effects of fertility for women?
Yes, I have gotten that question quite a lot, and there, understandably, is not really any research on pregnant ladies consuming intoxicants of this nature, because getting study funding for something like that, I think, would be quite challenging. What I can tell you is that I have had quite a few clients who experienced very severe postpartum. Yeah. Okay. Well, audience, if you're still here with me, I'll continue. Essentially, many women are using them while they are breastfeeding and just after postpartum, and presumably during pregnancy. That's what's been reported to me. So obviously, I couldn't say, I'm not a doctor. I couldn't say if that's good or not, but there have been no adverse effects. And particularly for women that have experienced severe postpartum or who have, very serious mood changes to do with hormones, it's been reported to be exceptionally effective for kind of maintaining more stable mood, particularly if they already have a child and then they're having a second child. So they have two young kids. They're going through pregnancy with another young child. They're worried about experiencing PPMD again. But it's obviously an extremely personal decision. And the other thing to sort of consider in this context is that psilocybin actually leaves your body more quickly than almost any other drug or psychedelic substance, including pharmaceutical medication. So, what that means is that even the most sophisticated tests cannot detect psilocybin after about 24 hours for sure, but they've even done tests at the 12-hour mark and the 8-hour mark, and there was no indication. So, for example, if you are somebody who gets drug tested and you'd like to consume psilocybin, let's say you ate them on a Friday and you didn't have to go back to work till Monday, they would be fully out of your system for sure. Even if you ate them on a Friday, by Sunday, they would be fully out of your system. So that's something to consider, for example, if you're breastfeeding or things like that. But have I heard of it interfering with people's ability to conceive? No, not at all. And I know many people actually consume cannabis right up through their pregnancy, which again, not advisable, but very personal kind of decision. And it's important to consider the mental health history within your family, of course, when you're trying any substances like this. If there's a history of psychotic disorders or schizophrenia, it's not advisable to consume street drugs or psychedelics really generally. If you'd like to try a very small amount of microdosing, that should be fine, but otherwise, probably not advisable. And I can definitely talk about that more if anyone's interested. And I'm not sure if Jillian is going to come back or what's going on. Okay, I'll just keep rambling. Some of the things to consider if you would like to make habits or behavioral changes with microdosing is to really give yourself enough time. So, a 3 to 6 month window of trying to change behavior in very, very tiny ways at first. So, choose a goal that's actually possible, so maybe you're not going to go from being completely inactive to going to the gym 7 days a week. But you could set a goal that maybe twice a week you would like to get some exercise. Then you might combine the microdosing with those exercise experiences. And that in itself can help reduce inner resistance and overcome barriers to making changes and improving kind of our positive habits. So the key is to give yourself a long period of time, 3 to 6 months, and choose very small goals. And then to be very gentle with yourself, whether you meet those goals or not. It's very important that we speak gently to ourselves and put some boundaries around our inner critic when we're trying to make change, because unfortunately, feeling a lot of shame does not change us. Otherwise, we'd all be just great.
So we do, hopefully, technically, have that whole answer for you guys.
We hope
Not
you
us, but
enjoyed
for you. So when I
your
see it, it'll be the first time
solo.
I've seen it too.
We hope you enjoyed your solo time with me.
Yeah.
Like, what a cool feature.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it's
I
great.
hope I did it justice.
All right, that one we answered. Does it help you all throughout the day, or does it just help for a few hours?
A few hours.
Again, great question.
This was a
Your
good
audience
topic.
is very curious and already well informed. Yeah. Okay, so generally, when people ask how long does it last, which is a question I get a lot, we generally say about 3 to 5 hours. So a very common dosing schedule that I've heard of from clients is they would take one around 9 or 10 in the morning, let's say, so not right around a big meal, but not on a completely empty stomach, because it tends to be a little bit too exciting.
Good word choice.
And then another one, like some people like get an afternoon slump. I'm sure you've heard of that, or around 1, 2, 3 maybe. You feel like drinking coffee or eating something sugary. So a lot of people will eat another microdose around, say, 1, 2 p.m. Until you're used to them, we don't recommend eating them after 3 o'clock, just because for some people they can be quite stimulating, and we don't want them to interfere with your regular bedtime. If it's the weekend and you're going out, I often recommend something that we call the dinner dose. So you would eat some microdoses, then you would go out for dinner. By the time you're done dinner, it's time to go.
This is
and then you go do something
behind the
fun.
scenes. You guys on the podcast are behind the scenes of Kelowna. I don't smoke weed ever, let alone around people, because usually I just end up an anxious ball that needs to go to bed, not productive for being social. But I went out totally sober on Friday night, and it was 2 people, and we were also like in a bar, like in like a regular like club. So people watching us for the first like hour and a half. Then I was like, it's too loud. There's too many people. Everyone's touching me. Like after that, I was like, I'm out. Like I literally think I sat in a corner on my phone at one point, because I was like, I'm actually done existing around people. So Saturday night, we went out for an after party, and it was like a much better vibe. But I also had some mushrooms to help me be far more social and likable. And like I had a moment where I was like, oh my god, I actually like people right now. I don't want to kill you all. So that's good.
Yeah, it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was really
I didn't
cool to
realize
see from my perspective with someone that does get to do doses and does other psychedelics and hosts other psychedelic events and gets to navigate these spaces with his partner. And I am much more the psychedelics in public person. Like I'm like, yeah, this is how if you're gonna drink, this is how I'm gonna take up space. Because it's easier to tolerate drinkers when you go out. So it was very cool to get to see and know that Jill was macrodosing psychedelics in public and able to just be. Because it is like I check on her. Social anxiety is really tough. I can get on her really quick, so I'm always checking in. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, she's good. She's fine. She's having a great time and smiling, laughing, talking, being personable on her own, and loving it. Like there wasn't a moment that I was worried for her or that I was like, oh, we're gonna have to go. Until we were both like, are you done?
Like at some point we were both just tired. But there was like I actually thought people's like shitty jokes were funny, and I was like, just had a moment of being like, oh, I actually like people. I'm like very quick to not like people most of the time, and like half the time I'm right to not like them. But when you're in social situations, it's far more enjoyable to be like, oh, I don't hate you all right now, and I can exist around you without being like, yeah, I gotta go right now.
Yeah, very relatable. Very relatable. There's a kind of ease. You can kind of feel like more embodied and like moving through the world like more easily. Whereas similar to you, Joel, I didn't realize we were so introverted similarly. But otherwise, people feel like
Yeah.
intrusive or something. And mushrooms make it feel
Palatable.
more like, they're not, it's not so oppressive
I
on
think
me,
that's a
their
good way.
presence.
Yeah,
Like
that was a
I'm
great
just
way to
like
say
it's
that.
too
Yeah.
peoply
Get
and
that.
everyone's too close to me, and I need to leave. But I get very like in my head of like everybody's gonna know, where Ethan doesn't have that, and even like I think nailing your dosage is important too. Like there wasn't a point while we were out that I was like,
It's
oh my
key.
god, I'm like
Yeah.
high and everybody knows. I was just like, oh, my like whole system is very chill right now.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, especially for people that don't drink or want to drink less, microdosing can be a really good way to still socialize and kind of get that, friendly feeling or being like slightly curious about people instead of being like, what do they want from me? God. Yeah. So, and again, you can definitely also, you can have a few drinks and have a few microdoses and be totally fine. And people who, as we get older, Jill, you're very youthful still. You probably wouldn't know this. Okay. But as you get older, alcohol really affects you. You feel more tired and drained from it. And so microdosing can be a good substitute for people who still want to go
See,
out,
even
but
being
they don't
young,
want to
like I've
consume as
known
much
that about
alcohol.
alcohol for. I also did most of my drinking when I was not supposed to be. Like by the time I legally could be drinking, I was over it. So like I haven't like heavily drank in probably 5, 6 years. And Ethan and I both don't drink. So especially in social situations where I know I'm walking into like most people still choose to drink versus other substances, and I feel like I always have almost like a bad taste in my mouth already, being like somebody's going to be drunk and annoying, somebody's going to get too close to me. Like I have those expectations that make me
Totally.
feel
That
like
everybody's set for you. Let's be
yeah.
fucking real.
But
That's
then I
not
like
here.
walk into the situations kind of an asshole already because I'm like waiting for somebody to do the thing I know I'm gonna hate, and then I'm like, oh, there it is. I knew you were gonna
Gone.
do that. Question I think was how do you know what dose you need to take or what strand? And I know you guys have info on your website, but what is the easiest way to kind of learn that process?
Another excellent question, truly. So they actually call it the sweet spot. And so that's a place where you feel something, but that something is not intoxication. So the something that you should be feeling is a kind of, maybe a kind of energy or a kind of hopefulness, a kind of slightly euphoric feeling that doesn't interfere with your intellectual functioning or your ability to get things done. And what we recommend is that to find this sweet spot is I would, you know, 100 is our most popular dose. A lot of people say they can't feel 50 at all, but you could always start with 50s and then just double or triple or quadruple. You could try them in 50 milligram increase increments. But I suggest people try 50 if they can, try 100, and try a 200. And once they've tried all three doses, they'll have a much better sense of what is the
Yeah, I
correct range
think
for them.
the biggest thing that always settles my brain is like you can always take more. Like if you take a 50 and you're like, oh, nothing happened or not what I
Exactly.
wanted to happen, you can
Exactly.
take another 50. There's some days where I do like 100 and a 50 because I know
Yeah.
200 is more of that like tipping point of like, whoa, for me. So
Yes,
it's a little bit of trial and error, but you can always
you're
find
right.
50s and take 3 of them if you want to.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Jill. And a lot of people have said that 150 is their ideal dose. We've actually considered making more 150s, and that heart opener one that was made with the cacao, that's 150. And I find people really, really, it's just like hitting the
Yeah, there's
correct,
some
the
days where
exact
like
amount.
50 I know is not enough,
So,
even
yeah.
100, and it depends. Like I would say for me, especially like what mental state I'm in when I'm taking it. On my like not so
Totally.
bright days, I need a little bit more to kind of combat the low that's already in my brain. Especially I've noticed, and like we could probably do a whole episode on this, coming off of birth control and like feeling the shift in my hormones being on birth control versus off. I need a little bit more leading up to my cycle to kind of combat, but on like a regular day, I can get away with a smaller dose just to be able to like focus and get my work done.
Nailed it. Yeah. During my monologue, I was talking briefly about how it can be really helpful for mood regulation around your period. So, let's say leading up to your period, you might be feeling away, and 150 might be better. On a regular day, 50 or 100 might be the right dose. So it
Yeah,
really is
and I
very
think,
flexible that way.
yeah, exactly that. You can always start small, add more if you need to. And then if you find, I say this the same with like even working with clients with vitamins and minerals. Like I'm like, take the smaller dose, like especially for magnesium before bed, because magnesium can like fuck up people's stomachs sometimes. I'm like, start low, you can always take more. And then if you notice that every time you're taking 100 or 200 or whatever, then the next time you order, just buy the bigger doses, and then you don't have to do that math anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely, lasting change takes time. That's the one thing I would really emphasize about microdosing or any habit or behavior change. We have to be pretty gentle with ourselves and give ourselves a long runway if we want to make changes that last. If we want to make changes that just fall off, we can do like very intense like things all at once or set really lofty goals. But it's for long-term sustainable change that doesn't feel like you're torturing yourself or you're having to force yourself.
Yeah.
We need to give ourselves enough time to practice and be like, I'm doing it, I'm not doing it, I'm doing it good, I'm not doing it, I'm doing it good. We
Yeah,
have
and
to
I think
expect fall off
people get a little
and be
bit
gentle.
anxious about like, is it going to work too good? Is it not going to work at all? Is it going to like fuck up my whole day? And with anything, to your point, with changing habits in general, starting small usually finds more success, and then you don't have to worry about like being high while you're at work by accident, because and also like
Yeah,
starting it in
exactly.
situations like maybe
Yeah.
you don't do it the first time at work with all your coworkers if you're that worried about it, and kind of gain some confidence being like, oh, I'm actually fine.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's really important to give yourself the most kind of unburdened, no responsibility, like relaxed scenario to try anything the first time, and kind of build up your comfort level so that's a tool that you actually feel safe using instead of something that you're just like, what will
Yeah.
happen to me? I feel out of control. Like that's, yeah, no. We want to challenge ourselves and like push ourselves to kind of the edge of nervous system activation, but we don't want to be feeling overwhelmed all the time or our kind of
Mm-hmm.
fearfulness locks it down. It doesn't want us to change. It feels dangerous.
Fair.
So we kind of got to baby step it,
Anything else you
especially in the
feel
beginning.
like people should know, you want them to know? Any final thoughts, feelings? I feel like we covered a lot, but
Um, yeah, definitely. I really appreciate all those questions. I'd be happy to answer any follow ups or more details or send resources if people need anything. And I guess I just want people to know that change is very possible, even when it seems impossible. I really believe in
I
people's
agree.
capacity to change things.
I
And I've
agree.
seen
Sometimes we
incredible
just need a little
transformations in
assist
people.
to get us going. Yeah, we
You
will
got it.
link all
Exactly.
of Vellum's info below, websites, things like that. Shameless plug, I do have a code with Vellum. You guys have seen me talk about it, but you can use Coach Jill at checkout if you're wanting to check something out. If you have any questions, hop in my DMs. Like I said, we'll link Vellum. You can send them a DM. And if there's anything specific, like we kind of mentioned, and obviously I don't know what you said in your solo time, but there's like much more specifics around hormones, mental health, periods, things like that. So if there's anything specific where you guys want a more detailed episode on something like that, let us know and we can have May back to do that spiel. Obviously I said I'll link Vellum, but where can they find the infos on your guys' website? Most of like the dosing schedules and stuff, right? Cool.
Yeah, everything's on the blog. So the blog has a lot of different dosing calendars and, suggested schedules for beginners. intermediate, things like that, or if you're treating specific conditions, anxiety, depression, ADHD symptoms,
Beautiful.
or using them to party. I think
All
that's
of
one
the
of the calendars
options. Well,
too.
thank you for coming on. Thank you for answering everybody's
Mm-hmm.
questions. And I'm sure there'll be far more that pop up, and we'll have you back another day to do another spiel.
Truly a pleasure. Great to see you both. Thanks so
Talk to you
much,
soon.
Jill.